Yeah. The world has only as much power over you as you give it. My mind rebels at stagnation. Give me problems. Give me work. That was said by Arthur Conan Doyle. Welcome to Motivational Monday Live with me, your host, The Prince. And today it's a very wonderful session because it's my birthday. Honestly, I was amazed when I realized that my birthday this year fell on Monday. So I decided that I'm going to make it an exceptional Monday. And for the first time, I actually began online shows 2020. And for the first time, I decided to do a show 3 times in a day. And it's been awesome. And it's already past 11 p.m. over here where I am. So, already with me in the studio are my dear friends. I have here with me Trevor Gross Jr. He is the founder of Craft Your Dreams. He is a 2018 University of
Uh-oh.
Designer.
Technology.
Okay, it's sociology. Okay, technology. Is it technology or sociology?
Sociology.
Yeah, sociology, yeah.
Yeah.
Trevor has a desire for people to set goals and achieve them at a high level. And we are so glad to have him here with us today. You're welcome, Trevor.
Thank you for having me. First off, happy birthday, truly. Once again, thank you for creating this platform. Obviously, you're motivating millions of people, and I'm just thankful to be a part of what you're doing here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And your background, I love your background, Trevor.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
That's cool. Thank you. You're welcome. So, and also with us today is somebody amazing, Michael Goes. I'm sorry if I don't pronounce it properly,
It's
but
Michelle.
forgive me.
Michelle.
Okay, Michelle Goes.
There you go.
And she is awesome. In fact, she's awesome. She's a horse guided life coach, and she has worked with horses and people over 35 years. Wow. She coaches and helps in building life skills in communication, self awareness, confidence, personal growth and development, leadership skills, life changing breakthroughs, etc. And she's here with us today, all the way from the United States of America. Michelle, you're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's 3:00 p.m. in Arizona where I'm at right now. So a little bit of time difference there.
Yeah. That's awesome. 3 p.m. in Arizona.
Yep.
Wow, that's cool. That's great. That's great. So we've been talking about Rebel. The first show, the second show, the third show. We've been talking about Rebel and how we can learn from that, how we can break out of our comfort zones, break out of whatever has been limiting us and holding us back, and all of that. So, Trevor, let's begin with you. What do you have to say about that?
So first of all, I love the topic about being a rebel. I do think being a rebel starts with confidence. I think being a rebel starts with finding a cause that's worth being confident in. And a lot of us, like I said, I deal with people that have goals and dreams and things like that. When you think about being successful, in order to be successful in some way or another, you have to be a rebel. in the sense that, you know, at one point in time, whatever it is that, you know, whatever it is that people may have wanted to be created, it's the first of its kind. So when people don't understand a thing, when they don't know a thing, they're just going to criticize it. They're going to say what's not possible. So you have to, in order to really live the life that you want to live, in order to go after the goals you want to live, you have to basically, quote unquote, be a rebel and just go against the grain and basically just be willing to take everything that comes with it. And that comes with, you know, making sure you have the right people around you, making sure that you're, you know, you have a very high level of confidence as you just basically pursue the journey of pursuing your goals and your dreams and being successful, because you're going very much against the grain.
Wow. Awesome. Thank you very much for that, Trevor. Michelle, over to you. I want to hear from you. What have you learned when you consider horses and humans? Is there anything there that tends to talk about rebel?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the first thing that most people aren't aware of is that horses and humans have been together for centuries in some you know, with the Industrial Revolution, they figured horses would disappear, and they aren't. They're coming back to help heal humanity. And the big thing that's, I think, the rebelling part is people are predators. Humans are predators, and horses are prey animals. So by nature, we're supposed to be chasing them and eating them. They're supposed to be running. And the fact that we can interact with them, and as I say, bring the intangible tangible. We all know we've got something stuck that's blocking us, that's in our way, but most of us don't know. And the horses show us that, and then they give us what we need. We get to practice the how. How do we get confidence? I mean, imagine a 10-year-old boy with a 1,100-pound horse, and he, through his energy alone, can get the horse to back up and move just by that power. You know, through practice, obviously, but unwinding, I go through 3 stages. It's unwinding the patterns. We all have patterns that work and don't work. And then, you know, that develops self-awareness, and we cannot change anything if we're not self-aware. We have to be self-aware. And I think that's a lot of the rebellion part, pushing against the flow, to not be like everybody else, to actually be your authentic self. That's one thing. Trust me, I talk the talk, I walk the walk. I've worked with my horses. One of them saved my life, literally. And trust me, I've tried all my life to lie to a horse. I can lie to myself, I can lie to other humans all day long, but you cannot lie to a horse. They'll see through that and reflect. And with my 35 years, I ask questions about that. What's going on for you? And suddenly the intangible is tangible, and now we can do something with it and go practice with it with the horse and get instant feedback where you can't get it anyplace else, because we are in the present moment. And I think that's a lot of the rebelling is learning how to be your authentic self and be okay with that, to go out there and, you know, thrive instead of just survive.
Wow. I'm sorry, Hilary. I didn't know you were at the background. I just saw your message on Messenger. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Maybe, you know, I just want to listen to Michelle tonight. I just want to hear her, you know, so maybe I was so anxious to hear her, and I forgot that somebody was waiting on the background. I'm sorry, please.
No problem. No problem.
Hilary Gooden is a
Yes.
friend also, and she's joining us all the way from the United States. She's an author, speaker, vibrant life coach, and she empowers busy women leaders with strategies to get their life back from the control of stress. She is an amazing person, and I'm sorry.
That can be a stressor too.
That's funny.
Okay.
And she's an author. She's an author. So we are happy to have you here, Hilary.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here, Abraham, and happy birthday to you. I'm glad to be here. So you want me to talk now?
Yeah. So, Michelle, let me come back to you, please. You were saying something. So, you were saying that one can easily get feedback quickly from an horse.
Absolutely. Um, Horses meet us, they live in the present moment. They have one of the best memories in the animal kingdom because their main means of defense is run. So they need to be very efficient at how they use their energy. And I can work with people who I have no information about them except their name and have a breakthrough moment in the first session. Um, and that which is really good to deal with traumas and issues, those deep dark issues that we push against. And that because a lot of us, we just want to move past this, we want to feel better, we want to move on, and we don't want to sit and talk about it for the next 6 months, a year, whatever. We want to do something. And that's what I offer. I offer, let's do something. We talk a little bit, we figure out what's going on, and then we get to go engage with the horses in different activities in different ways, to learn the how. Because let's be realistic, all of us know we have emotions, good, bad, and indifferent. But how many of us can honestly say we know how to manage them? And
Hmm.
that's what I teach. I teach how to manage your life through instant feedback with the horses. I have three full-size horses and two miniatures. They're only 3 feet tall, but they all do amazing work, and it's in that moment. And in the present moment is the place we have control and where we can change anything.
Right.
Amazing, 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 amazing. This is amazing. In fact, I'm overwhelmed. Thank you so much, Michelle, for coming on this program and for sharing these wonderful insights with us. Hilary, you're welcome to the program.
Well, thank you
Yeah.
so
So
much.
from your
You know,
yeah,
go ahead.
go ahead, please.
No, I didn't know what to do. Let me let you lead it.
Okay, okay. From your experience in dealing with women, what do you have to say about rebel?
My biggest thing about rebelling is rebelling for your health's sake.
Hmm.
That's my war cry. You got the power to help your body, help you to have a more vibrant life, to have better health and a more vibrant life. We have a responsibility to our bodies, and we have a stake in how our life turns out. We have a stake in how our health is affected by the things we do in our life. And it starts out with the words you speak, knowing that you have power with your words. So you should be mindful of those words that you speak, the thoughts that you allow your mind to entertain, all of these things, along with nutrition and, getting enough sleep and exercising, moving your bodies, all of these things, in addition, help you to have better health. And that's my biggest cry because I know a lot of women, especially women leaders. Myself, I was a CFO at a behavioral health center, chief financial officer there, and I was trying to start this my coaching business at one point, as well as being a pastor. You just being a leader everywhere, at home, at work, at church, at the in your volunteer work or whatever, and just having so much responsibility. It can just like how can you say, just like stack upon each other and cause that overwhelm until it begins to show up in your health. And I see he's a little busy, but I'm gonna keep on talking. It begins to show up in your health as far as frustrating your health. And for those that are interested in having better health without just leaning heavily on pharmaceuticals,
Yeah.
you know, that's my cry, is to say you got the power to help your body. When your body will take care of itself when the conditions are right. That's where our responsibility comes in. So that's my cry. You got the power. You absolutely got the power to help your body, help you to have better health and a more vibrant life. And that's rebelling against, those that just say, well, you just have to go and take this, take that. And sometimes those things are not working out. And as you continue, your health is getting worse. Your stress, you're not able to deal with your stress still. What do you do then? There's so many things that you can do that are easy, natural, and drug free. And that's rebelling against the norm every day for me. And for those that I'm talking to, coaching.
Wow.
So dope.
Thank you so much, Larry. Thank you so much for that. I was just talking to somebody that is assisting me here, and I was supposed to mute my volume or my sound, but it's like I didn't mute it. So it's like maybe it's forgotten, but it's fine. Okay. So let's continue. We're talking about rebel. Trevor,
Yes, sir.
in my understanding, I feel rebel is breaking free from stagnation. What do you do to break free from stagnation? When you see that there's so much stagnation around you, so much stagnation in your life, how do you break out?
So it one starts with admitting that you're stuck. So I think a lot of times, particularly stagnation and what that looks like is a lot different than what it did, let's say 5, 10 years ago. Feeling stuck, at one point might have been, I'm just not able to find a job, or I, for whatever reason, find myself unhappy more days than I am happy. There are different, it just looks different. Whereas today, you can have the good job, you can have the things, but inside there's a level of unfulfillment there. And so I would describe stagnation as just being feeling more unfulfilled than not having. So there's a difference there. But I would say, to answer your question directly, it starts with recognizing that there is areas of life where there is stagnation, that there is areas in life where you are stuck. And then from there, once you identify a problem, you can solve a problem. So once you figure out, okay, in this area, I'm stagnant. In this area, I'm not operating to, in my, how I describe it, I'm not operating at the best of my ability. At that point, then you start putting together a system, you start putting together habits, you start putting together mindsets, whatever you need to do, so that way you break free. So the how really is, one, starting with identifying the stagnation. Two, it continues with, I should say, it continues with intentional action. Because once you apply that intentional action to whatever the situation is that you're stuck in, change has to happen. You can't make decisions and nothing happens. It's particularly when we're talking about intentional decisions. When you really, you do the research, or you look at models, you look at successful models, and you look to your left, right, necessarily in a comparison manner, but just okay, what did that person do when they had financial issues? What did this person do when they might not have been feeling the happiest? When you just look at all these different examples, particularly today, as we're in the information age, where you can go on YouTube, you can go on Google, and basically, like I said, get a bunch of information. At that point, it's a matter of, okay, what am I going to do for me as an intentional action to get unstuck, so that way I'm now breaking free. And then regardless of if it moves you forward, or even if it does move you back, that's information that you can use. Because at the end of the day, we're similar. I like to compare all of our journeys to sharks. Sharks sharks have to keep moving. Sharks have to keep moving. And if they stop, they die. You'll never see a shark where they're just standing still in water. Sharks always have to keep moving at all times. And whether or not they're moving in the right direction or wrong direction, for us as humans, when we think about that in terms of our life, as long as we are moving, whether or not we're making the right decision, wrong decision, whatever it is, we're making a decision that gives us information. And with that information, as long as we are intentional with learning and our commitment to our goals and our commitment to ourselves and all the things that go with that, and we put those two worlds together, we've now not only broken free from stagnation, but now we have basically exponentially fast forwarded our life in a place towards a place that we want to go. So to simply answer your question, it starts with, one, identifying that you are stuck. Two, it requires intentional action in order to break free from being stuck.
Wow. Thank you so much, Trevor. Thank you for that.
Welcome.
Yeah. So let's over to you, Michelle. Now you said that there is one language that the horse understand, and that is to run.
That's
You
how
think,
they survive, is
okay,
to
that's
run.
how they
That's their
survive.
main means of defense. Unlike dogs that'll bite or cows have horns and stuff. So their main means of defense is running. They're flight creatures. Kind of like birds, birds fly away if there's a threat to them. Well, horses, if they're threatened highly, will run or at least move away, depending on where they're at.
Hmm. Wow.
So something I just want to throw in with the stagnation, I totally agree with Trevor. But most people don't realize we're the only animals on the planet that have the ability to ask why. No other animal has that ability. And second, we also are the only animals on the planet that by thought alone, we can create our own emotional response. So if you've ever spun yourself up, either angry or anxiety, with those thoughts going through your head all the time, it's because that's a human thing. And that's where we get stuck. And because we can't usually find the answer to why. And working with the horses really helps with that and helps to speed us. Wow. And just the power of it. A lot of times we don't even realize we're stuck. When you start working with a horse, it becomes very clear that you're stuck and there's an issue that needs to be addressed.
A lot of interference.
Sorry about that. So if there's something that's burning in my heart to ask you, Michelle. So when you observe the horse, what do you learn from the horse in terms of anger management?
A lot of it's just asking questions to the client about what's going on, whether they're, what they think about it. It has nothing to do with me. I'm just the facilitator of it. It's the interactions between the horse. And everything is very metaphorical and that representative in that moment. A perfect example of this is I'm actually working on my book that'll be released hopefully by the end of this year on client stories around the horses. No names or anything like that, but just the power of this. And I think one of the most amazing ones was recently an older gentleman in his 60s came. It was his second session with me, and he was really disconnected. And I sent him into the paddock with the big horses, and said, create your own space, however you want to run. And he took the door open and created a space around his real close. The second part was I gave him a bucket so the horse sounds like and his task was to go back to his space and keep the horses out of his space. However you want to. He said, okay. And I stayed outside the paddock, and none of the horses followed. They wouldn't go near him, they wouldn't engage him at all. And when I asked him, he said, I'm okay with this, which is not necessarily true. So I eventually had to go into they're saying they can't hear us.
There's a lot of feedback.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Okay, yeah.
We all
Go
still
ahead.
there?
Go ahead.
Okay.
I think we're good.
So we had a discussion about reconnecting with self. And in order to connect with others, you must be able to connect with self. And he didn't know how to do that. And so as I came in, the horses came up to him and kind of engaged because of my energy. Eventually, we had a discussion about how to do this, and he came back out with the bucket. And I said, how about you go in with this acknowledgement of this disconnect? We don't have to do anything, just acknowledge that it's there and see what happens. He said, okay. So he walks in, and all three horses acknowledged him and walked up to him and held space for him, where he could tangibly feel the energy and their love and acceptance for him. And he had tears coming out of his eyes and said, I have no idea when the last time I ever felt this connection so pure. And I mean, how powerful is that?
Wow. 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 That's awesome. That's awesome. Trevor, please tell us, what do you do when you are weighed down by so much challenges, and it's like obstacles to your dreams or barriers to your dream? What do you do?
So what I do is I disrupt my schedule. What I mean by that is I'm a big believer in disruption, in the sense that so often, particularly in today, we're caught in the hamster wheel of life. It's very easy to just wake up, go to work, come home, watch TV, go to sleep, wake up, come home, we're just on this hamster wheel doing the same thing every single day. And, it's interesting that us as humans, I want to describe this properly, that we are quicker to acknowledge the challenges than we are to acknowledge the positive aspects of our lives. And so because of that, whenever I feel the presence of just challenges, as you describe, right, where it just seems like in every single area there seems to be some major obstacle that is stopping me from moving this needle forward toward the life that I want to live, for me, I make a hard left and just disrupt my entire schedule. So what that'll look like practically would be I'm just clearing my entire schedule to just do something that makes me happy on the day. Like I'll just remove myself from the situation completely, depending on what the challenges are and things of that nature. But let's just generalize it, that I'm basically just going to almost take a step back, kind of look at the whole thing, big picture, get a better perspective of the situation. And then once I'm able to step back and get a better perspective of the situation, now when I step back into that quote unquote hamster wheel, when I step back into my day-to-day life, now I'm going into it with a different perspective on the challenges that I have. And one of the things that I do in terms of, talking with my students and things of that nature is having them understand that, when you're on the road to your goals, the road to just being the person you want to be, and all these great things, because all of us have great aspirations and great goals. The challenges and all the obstacles, they're certain to come. They're certain to come. So, and I think a lot of times we as people, we have this expectation or this desire for, okay, well, I just want to go for my dreams, and I just want it to go, I want it from point A to point B, and I want it to be like how I'm planning it. And it never does. And so to me, I find it better to, why not prepare yourself for how you're going to handle those obstacles, as opposed to just wishing that you're not going to encounter an obstacle. So for me, I disrupt my schedule. I do something that is very much not in my normal day-to-day. So that way it gives me a better perspective on whatever the challenge is that I'm facing. And then the second part to that is I'm going to really assess each challenge, because at the end of the day, a challenge is exactly that. In order to become better, you have to challenge yourself, right? And if you aren't challenging yourself, well, then there's no way you can get better. And if you don't get better, then there's no way you could even manage the life that you really want to live. There's no way that you can, manage the millions. There's no way you can manage a company. There's no way you can manage, being whatever your goal or dream is. You can't manage it if you aren't challenging yourself. And so at that point, once I take a step back, get a different perspective on all the challenges I'm facing, I go back into it like, okay, what am I learning from each challenge, with every single obstacle that is in front of me right now, regardless of what role it is? And it doesn't have to be business specific. Like all of this stuff in a way is connected. Like I'm a firm believer, like at the end of the day, like who you are is much more important than what you do. right? So who I am is like who I am right now in this life is the same type of son that I am. It's the same type of business owner that I am. It's the same type of basketball player I am. Every role I fill, I am the same. It's just something that I do. And so with that, regardless of the challenge, I'm going into it like, okay, how is this helping me become a better business owner? How is this helping me become a better significant other? How is this helping me become a better person? Like, just I'm looking at it in a different perspective now because I'm looking at it as an opportunity as opposed to a roadblock, if that makes sense. So for me, like I said, to simply just sum up my answer is I take a step back, I disrupt my schedule in some way, shape, or form so that way I can get a better perspective and understanding of my current situation. So that way when I go back into it, I have an understanding and of the opportunity that's in front of me. Because there's no challenge, I'm of belief, like there's no challenge that I could be faced with today that I can't handle. There's no challenge that I can be faced with today that I can't learn about or some way, shape, or form to overcome. And so because I have that system in place for myself, do I feel overwhelmed at times? Absolutely. But because I know how to respond to it, what used to be, let's say, a 6-month process of feeling overwhelmed now is like a 2-day process. Now is like a 3-day process. It's a much quicker process. I'm actually keeping this thing moving forward.
Wow. Thank you so much, Trevor. Thank you for that. I want to ask you, Hilary Gooden, you've worked with busy women. And during this time you worked with busy women, what do you think is one of the greatest challenge of busy women?
Learning, one of the biggest challenges is learning how to put themselves first. The way the Lord gave it to me one day, and it's the way I did give it to those that I work with, is that you have to save some for yourself. You have to save some of you for yourself, because when you give and give and give it all away, when you need it, there's none left. And that's why they end up in those states of overwhelm. That state of stress can
Mm. From her side, her network is not too good. It seems her network is a bit bad, not too good. Mm. Okay, while we wait for her to come back, it's like a network. I'm seeing it here. The network is not too good. Okay. Let's go over to you, Michelle.
Yes.
You can hear me, right?
What's that?
Okay. So do I want to ask a question? What's the common emotion of horses?
There is no common emotion. They have the same emotions we do. They can get depressed. They can be angry, anxious. Yeah, they're more
Wow.
simple, but they have the same emotions. That's why it's so powerful, because they mirror us. Like a client recently was here, a male. His girlfriend has horses, so he kind of thought he knew everything, and I had him go in and introduce himself to the horses, and they all kind of started moving away. And he put his arm around one of them and kind of forced him to follow, and he wasn't real happy. He went to one of my other horses, and she wears her emotions on her sleeve. And he's kind of chest to her chest, arm around her neck. He's trying to get her to move and do whatever he wants to. He's kind of forcing the relationship. And he didn't see it, but the rest of us did. Is she pinned her ears and tried to bite his shoulder. And what she was reflecting was his anger about this disconnect in his life of not being able to connect or figure out how to connect with himself so he could connect with others. He'd always been forcing relationships, and that doesn't work. Force begets force, and we all go in defense modes. I think something that's popping in my head to kind of play off Trevor in the rebelling part is a lot of times working with the horses, we figure out what doesn't work. They get to try different things and be curious and see if it works. And a lot of them will get stuck there with perfectionism or I'm not good enough or something. And I'll encourage, well, you've got to have some idea, give it a shot and see what happens. And, you know, very quickly it comes up what's not working. And it's like, do you want to keep wasting your time and energy on stuff that doesn't work? You know, that's what gets us stuck. And, you know, to me, then what's left is us, what works for us. And to me, we can kind of whittle through all this stuff a lot faster because we get to work in the present moment. And, you know, the horses have their own agenda. It is between the clients and the horses because it's in the moment. It is a relationship in that moment.
Wow. Wow. So much to learn there. Thank
I
you for
love
that.
what I do.
Wow. Now, Trevor, you said something there, and feel that okay. Well, I don't know, but if somebody okay, if you are working on your own because you are a CEO, okay, you have your own organization, right? So
Mhm.
if somebody that is working under a company, working under a business, he's not in charge. So he doesn't have the final say or he can't make the final decision. And then he's faced with those obstacles or challenges. He
Mhm.
may not really be able to just disrupt his activities or agenda immediately. So, what do you advise such a person to do at that point?
So at that point, you get into because there's a change in priorities and there's a change in roles, right? So when you're working under somebody, I mean, when you're working for somebody, you know, there's a job that has to get done. So in that position, no, you can't necessarily do what I do and just completely disconnect from the day. But but at the end of the day, all of us do have personal lives. And one, I would tell that person, don't let that job be your life. And the reason why I say that is because at the end of the day, making that distinction between your personal life, and I'm not saying personal life in the sense of, you know, the time that you go hang out with your friends and the time you go out the weekend, like having fun personal. I'm just simply saying you as a human being are bigger than your job. And I'm not saying that in the sense of, you know, to be arrogant about it. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that, you know, as I said, your identity is not tied in that position that you fill at that job, even though it may be working for somebody. But at the end of the day, you are an individual and you're making a decision and you're being valuable where you are. And so I would still say disrupt your schedule, even though it might not be as aggressive as mine is, but there's still steps you can take while still handling the business or handling your job at your job and but on your personal time, because at the end of the day, let's say you do work your 9 to 5, 9 to 6, whatever your hours are, there are still hours after that that you can be intentional about figuring it out. There are hours after that, you know, that you could, rather than watching the Netflix show, you know, dedicate that to, okay, what am I being faced with right now? You know, that's time, because time, as I know Michelle would agree with me on this, time is our greatest asset. And I think so often, because we are faced with those obstacles, those very real obstacles, right? Those very real bills, you know, expectations, things of that nature, it's easy to get clouded on that. And because we're on that hamster wheel of life, you know, it's not as easy to just pull away. But when that person decides to take control of their time while still being responsible, that is when they also don't have to, as we said, you know, they don't have to stay in stagnation. You know, they don't, that is a way for them to break free from, you know, the weight of obstacles when they're intentional with, you know, just their time. And that's simply put. And for me, I'm intentional with my time because me as the CEO, I consider myself a CEP. I consider myself a partner. I feel like even the job titles is changing now. But even with me in that position, I have the ability in my role to just say, I'm taking the day off. I have the ability to say, I'm taking the week off. Now, in that decision, right, we all make decisions. There's, there's what you're agreeing to, but then there's on the backside of what you don't know you're agreeing to. So I could take a whole month off if I wanted to, but that does not mean that would be wise for my business, but I could if I really wanted to, right? Similar to the person that is working in a company, right? They could say, I'm just not showing up for a month. They could do that. I doubt that you're going to have a job when you want to go back. But, at the end of the day, we all have responsibilities. And for me, as the chief executive partner here in my organization, I have different abilities than that person. But it is just being honest about, okay, here's what I can do. And everyone needs to answer that for themselves. Everyone's abilities are different. Everyone's talents are different. So just because I may have the ability to, as an entrepreneur, from building the thing from the ground up, I have the ability to take a week off. That also doesn't mean that my check probably is not as secure as that person that's working in underneath a company. So there's a give and take. There's a give and take with all of it. And so, like I said, to answer your question, in terms of what that person should do to lift that weight, is just be intentional with your time. Be as intentional with your time. So that way, because we all have time, like we all have different gifts, different time, but we all have time. It's just a matter of what you do with it. And I know that sounds very like cliche, but it's just the truth. Like at the end of the day, like truth, it just is above all. Like you can't deny truth. So yeah, we just got to be intentional with our time.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you, Trevor, for that advice and those words. I really appreciate that. And if you are watching, please leave a comment. Let us know that you are watching and let's know how the program has affected you. Maybe if you even have a question, you can share it and let's answer you. Now, Michelle, I noticed one thing. People are not able to connect sometimes because some people feel that they are superior. Though in one of the speakers in the last show today was telling us that there are people that are superior than you, and there are people that you are superior than, something like that. So, but sometimes people allow that mentality to get into their head, and because of that, they don't want to relate. Even when you are trying to relate with them, they don't give you that freedom. They don't give you that room. And you see, that affects many people such that they are not able to break out of stagnation. They are not able to come out of that negativity that is around them because the people they are supposed to connect with, they are not able to connect with them. And it affects their business or affects their relationship or affects their home, you know. Now, with your relationship with the horse or from the things you've learned from the horse, how can we relate with people that are so maybe full of themselves or having that superiority mentality?
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is just being able to connect with ourselves so we can understand that, and be able to read that, because sometimes those people are not good for us. They're toxic. It blocks us. It can cause problems. And those might be people we just need to not have in our life, or if we do have to have them, at a farther distance. I've definitely had people with kind of that mentality come before, and you can try to force a horse, but good luck, and I don't care if it's a miniature or not. They're very powerful in that, and they're going to respond accordingly on that. I think, just like I said, I think it's just reconnecting with yourself so that you can say, these people are good for me and these people are not good for me. And I watch it time and time again. This last weekend with a group that I had, we end up creating what we don't want when we're not self-aware. And it's usually what we're most afraid of. We're going to lose everything. They don't like me, whatever it is. And this group actually with all the horses created everything. And that's really powerful in that moment, because a lot of people don't even know they have that mindset that they're superior. I mean, sometimes we can pick them up, but sometimes they're not. They're always trying to one up everybody or this or that. And very quickly with the horses, it showed that they were creating something they didn't want. And, got to, oh, I need to shift, because wherever we focus, conscious or unconscious, is where our energy goes. And we have the power to manifest it. But if we're stagnant, if we're stuck in our own junk, we're going to just keep repeating the stuff we don't want. We're going to have broken relationships, lost jobs, unhealthy habits with our body, everything else, then that does affect everybody around us. And it's being able, I think, to connect with self, to say, I can keep these people, but they're over here, or they're, at different lengths and stuff, to be able to set healthy boundaries. But first you got to know, do you even have boundaries? Because some of us have very deep boundaries and they block everything. And others are just kind of doormats. And I used to be a doormat myself, and, gave everything away, and it nearly destroyed me. So I had to reconnect with myself and figure out what works for me. And I think most importantly on my journey and what I teach is what doesn't work for us. So I'm not going to keep giving my time to it. I think it was Einstein, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. I have watched clients for years do that with certain things, just continually doing the same thing. And you could almost see the bubble in their head going, well, that's too simple if I do it this way. It's got to be more complex. When it's actually not. The same website is horses bring us back to simplicity so we can complexity. I think I froze.
No, you are on. You are on.
Oh, okay. So, that's the thing is, to me, if we can simplify our things, figure out what's blocking us, figure these things out, then we get to choose how complicated we want to make it. Because life actually is quite simple if we can get rid of some of these things that block us and get in our way.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I want to ask you something from there. Oh my God.
Oh, she dropped. Oh, there she go.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Came back.
Yeah,
Isn't
welcome.
technology great?
It do happen to me a lot. I will just disappear, and before. So it's well. Thank God. Today it's fine. So there's something I want you to throw a little more light there, because a lot of people are going through so much. So my question there is, how do you know? Try if you can give us some points how to recognize when this relationship is not for you or this person is not for you. Because just like what you said, that when we ignore those signs, it later on works out to be a disaster. I'll give you an example how somebody has been in a marriage for years, and let's say, for example, the woman, I'm giving you a practical example, something I know about, something that happened recently and happened to somebody close to me, if I will use that word. And she has been in this relationship, in this marriage, did wedding, did everything, and they continue that marriage for years. They have children, and suddenly after many years, one day she woke up and somebody calls her and say, "Madam, your husband has a wife outside and he has children outside. Not just one kid, two kids, something like that." So how did it get to that point whereby that woman didn't know that something was going on, didn't know that this was, something was wrong, to that point that, at that point, it devastated her. For days, for weeks, she was crying. So what are some of the signs that you can look for and say, If you see these signs, then know that this relationship is not for you. This something is not for you. What are those signs?
You asking me or both of us?
Yes, Misha. Yeah.
The first thing that's coming to my head is, we all have intuition. We all have that gut feeling. And at some point she had a feeling something wasn't right. But what I call our program, our survival mode from childhood, where we're told you can't feel that, big boys don't cry, it's not ladylike to be angry, all these things that go on, we are taught to stuff our feelings, to that what we feel is not true. And it's because it gets passed along. And so at some point, we're the only animals that can live in denial. We're the only animals that can justify and do all these defense mechanisms. And so, at some point, she knew something wasn't right. But when she approached him, he said it just the right way. She went, oh, maybe I'm thinking I'm crazy. Something from the past, this past program started to come up. And it's like, okay, well, I'm just imagining stuff now. And we disconnect from ourselves. And to me, that's the biggest problem, because we do have that intuition. We do. And but we've been denied. And we need to be able to at least say, maybe I should listen to that. Maybe I should check it out, find different things. But unfortunately, our programming, till we hit kind of rock bottom, it tends to get in the way. It's the subconscious.
Yes.
I mean, we spend 99% of our daily activities all in subconscious, and we spend 90% of our energy stuffing that stuff down. And, until it comes to a point where it blows up, where the truth is revealed. And now she's crushed, but somewhere in the back of her head, I'm sure I knew there was something not right. So now she beats herself up for not doing anything about it. And vicious cycle. Now she's stuck. She's stagnant until she can process this stuff through and release herself. And to be able to go next time, I'm feeling this weird gut feeling. Maybe I'll check in with it and see what's going on. And listen to herself and find people that she could go talk to. But the first thing is, we've got to learn how to trust ourselves again. To me, that's the biggest, the rebel of everything, is learning to trust ourselves again, despite what everything else and everybody else around us says. They're like, well, you can't do this or do that or be this or do that. And it's like, no, my gut says this, I'm going with it. And to rebel against that, because 9 out of 10 times, I know for myself, every time I've not listened to my gut feeling in the past, it's come back to bite me. And in fact, one of them was working with a horse when I was a trainer and instructor, that I should have given up when I was ahead, but I pushed it and didn't listen to my gut. And if I hadn't been wearing my helmet, I'd been dead. And that's the fact. And, it took me several more years to figure that out and start listening and to trust it, because I've been told so much in my life that what I was feeling wasn't valid. It wasn't real. I was too sensitive, or, whatever. And so in order to survive, I had to shut everything down, which meant I disconnected from myself. And I think that's one of the biggest things.
Wow. This is powerful. I wish a lot of leaders could take the time to watch this show or listen to it or something, because there's so much here for matured minds. I tell you. Thank you so much, Michelle. Thank you so much. I want to ask you this question. Don't get tired of me. Does horses pretend?
No. They do not have the ability to do that. Nope, they live in the present moment. They reflect what they see and what they feel in that moment, and that's it. There's been some things that horses have been able to pretend they're lame or not walking right, but there's always a cause to it, but no, I don't believe we pretend. We create our own false realities and stuff, and we get stuck in it. We've created our own fantasy worlds, which isn't necessarily all bad, but if it's not dealing with reality, it definitely gets us stuck.
Thank you so much. Trevor.
Yes.
When somebody sets a goal and is not able to achieve it, he's stuck. So how do you set a goal and achieve it?
Oh, simple. You throw everything you can at it. Simple. There's no secret to being successful. And I think so oftentimes it's a process that a lot of people try to like overcomplicate when it's a very simple thing. When someone sets a goal and they want to make sure that they achieve it, one, you, at least I'll describe it as, you want to get a full understanding of that goal. What is the goal? Where did that goal come from? What do you expect that goal to give you? Right? Is that the right goal for you? For a lot of times, is that goal, as I like to describe it, is that goal connected to your purpose? You know, I call it clear vision. Our three core values in order to achieve any goal is clear vision, 100% effort, and consistency. So what is there a clear vision for that goal that you have? And then once you have a clear vision of what it is that goal is for you, at that point it's time to get to work. Because I think so often, you know, we're in a very delicate age of thought. We're in a very delicate age of the awareness of emotion and everything like that, which is a good thing. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I think so often there are people getting so wrapped up into that we're almost like pulling more towards in the way of, okay, I'm just gonna be experiencing the emotion of this thing, and I'm missing the work. And then that's where you deal with, you know, the expectation of, well, I planned it out. I got the blueprint. I have my success model. I have all these things, but for whatever reason, it didn't work for me. And it's like, well, you didn't put in the work. For example, you know, if there's someone that wants to be a business owner, you can have the greatest business plan in the world, but if you don't file for the business to get incorporated, if you don't actually put to action the plan that you set, well, you're just going to have a really great plan and that's what it's going to be, and you're going to be left pretty much upset, and that's where, if you don't have the right perspective of the situation and the right just self accountability, and that's a really big thing for a lot of people. Like, it's really hard for people to admit when they didn't hold up their end of the bargain. You know, it's similar to let's say someone wants to lose 10 pounds in the next month, right? And so they set out this entire plan. They say, okay, I'm going to the gym 5 days a week. I'm gonna get off Saturdays and Sundays. I'm gonna eat right, meal prep, all the things, right? They plan it out to the T. There's no leaks in this plan. And go strong with it for, let's say, 1 week. Then by the second week, because they're tired or because of whatever the case may be, they only go to the gym twice a week because I was tired. I just didn't feel like it. Oh, it's really hard, body sore. You know, it was late, so I just stopped by the McDonald's. So I just decided to pick up food and all these things. And so now you're creating a snowball that takes you away from your goal. And by the time that month is over and you've only lost, let's say, 6 pounds, right? The person that doesn't have self accountability is going to say, well, that doesn't make any sense. I had this plan and it was right, and I did the things that, but in reality, they're lying to themselves. But the person that does have self accountability will say, all right, I didn't do what I really supposed to do. That second week messed me up because from there I only went to the gym 2 times a week from that point, and I messed myself up. And so I'm giving this long example, but that's pretty much how people treat themselves. Like when it comes to achieving a goal, and when I say everything, there's a level of self accountability that has to be there, because when you really know that you've given your all to a thing, there's no doubt. Like when you've given your all to a thing, there is no such thing as failing. There is no such thing as being frustrated because you didn't, quote unquote, hit the goal. You know, it's similar to the quote I've heard. You may have heard this too. If you aim for the moon and if you miss, you'll end up among the stars. It's the same process, right? It's similar to what I referenced earlier. When you just try something, when you just go for something, you can't lose. It's impossible. Because at the end of the day, who you are and who your dream requires you to be is a better version of who you are today. And so often, because people don't have or because people are stuck in the planning stages of life, right? Which is good. It's important to plan. You got to know where you're going in order so you can put together a plan to get there. But they're so caught up in the plan that they downplay the work that's required. They downplay the, if you want to start a business, well, you're going to be working more than 40 hours a week. They downplay if you want to lose weight, it includes your eating, dieting habits too. They don't think about these things, right? They for another example, for the person, let's say, that has the 9-to-5 corporate sales job, they don't think, well, I probably need to learn how to communicate better. I need to communicate with people better so that way I can sell more. Like, when you really do all that there is to whatever the goal is for yourself, there's no way you can fail. So to answer your question, how does someone achieve their goal and make sure they achieve it? You give it everything you have, you leave nothing on the table, and you basically be your biggest critic. Hold yourself accountable higher than anybody else can. Because at the end of the day, when you really understand what's at stake, if you don't, there's no way you're not willing to do whatever's necessary.
Thank you, Trevor. Thank you so much. That is so amazing. Thank you so much. Michelle, I want to ask you, can you give us a few points on how you can create more self-awareness, as in how you can know yourself more?
One of the easiest ways that people can do it, even if you don't have a horse, is start paying attention to your body. Because for every thought, emotion you have, there's a physiological response, whether you're aware of it or not. But most of us can start to feel, let's say we're getting anxious about a test, and that, maybe your palms get sweaty, or your heart starts racing, or your stomach gets upset, or, if you're angry, your jaw clenches. But there are always physiological responses to our emotions. And to me, that's the easiest and best way to start doing it. Start paying attention to yourself. Just start noticing these things. And it takes practice, because, like I said, we're taught to stuff everything down and ignore it and all this stuff. But something to go along with Trevor, with horses, but what I teach too is, and in life, you get out of it what you put into it. If you only put 5%, but you expect 95%, you're missing some stuff. You gotta do the work. And I'll have people that, well, I don't want to do that with the horse. Okay, well, that means you're not going to want to do this with your life. You get out of it what you put into it. And as soon as we start becoming self-aware of what's coming up for us, man, my stomach's feeling really upset. Oh yeah, I got that big test tomorrow and I'm really nervous about it. Okay, so what can I do in that moment? Sometimes it's just to push pause. Just push pause for a moment and interrupt that. Something you were saying, Trevor, earlier, you may, at work, you may not be able to, do what we do, take a whole week off and whatnot, but push pause for that minute and go, I'm noticing this. Notice. That's one of the things I ask all the time. What do you notice, about yourself, about the horses? It just depends on how connected or disconnected they are. But to me, that's one of the easiest ways on your own to start recognizing, what does it feel like when you're angry? Does your jaw get tight? Do you get a headache? Are your fists clenched? Do you pace? Is your heart racing? All these physiological cues, because those can be the first signs that our body's going to go, warning, something's coming. And that we feel threatened at that point. And it may be a low level at that point, but that's when we can intervene the most and do the work. But sometimes we go to a 10, as I say, the highest level. But that's okay. If you're self-aware that, hey, I went to a 10, well, that's different than what you did before, because before you weren't aware you went to a 10. You just kept reacting. And, by pushing pause, interrupting that program, to allow a reboot is really important. So I would say that's one of the easiest ways and fastest ways. The other one is to journal. Get that stuff out of your head. I don't care if you talk to your phone or talk to your computer or type or write or whatever, but and not self-criticize. I've journaled sometimes. I couldn't get the thoughts together, but words came to my mind. And I just, whatever, played word association, whatever came out for a word, is what I wrote. And as I read it back, you could actually see the process as my words changed from a negative, nasty, dark place to an enlightened place. And that. So those are two things I think that are really simple. You don't need a horse for, though it is more comfortable in the barn personally, but to do that. But I think those are some things really easy to start developing self-awareness right away.
Wow, thank you so much for that. Please let me ask you this very quickly. What can we learn? What leadership skills can we learn from the horse? Or leadership lessons can we learn from the horse?
That you have to focus on yourself and take care of yourself first in order to be a good leader, because you cannot give from an empty well. I've watched many clients do an activity that they need to move this horse through some poles or something, and they're so focused on the horse and not, it's all over the place. And as soon as they focus on what they want and what they need and the confidence, even if they have no clue what they're doing, but just, okay, in the moment, I'm going to try it and empower themselves, instantly the horse shifts and they get the task done in minutes. And that where others will just, I've watched one client for over 3 sessions and they're an hour long. So by the time we were ready, say 50 minutes, for 3 of those, just continually do the same thing. Because she wouldn't connect to herself, and she wouldn't have the confidence, and tried everything. And so I think the leadership is being connected with self so that you can make better decisions on, who to bring into your herd, who not to, how to lead, and be able to share that for the greater good, because I can't meet all my needs on my own. Nobody can. We're herd creatures. And so by knowing myself of what I can meet on my own, but then knowing who I can turn to and say, hey, I need your help. I think that's really powerful.
Yeah, it is. It's really powerful. Thank you so much for that, Michelle. I want to ask you, Trevor, as we are getting ready to wrap the program. Thank you, Kesa Goody. She just said happy birthday. Thank you, Kesa Goody. I'm sorry I've not been reading the comments, but I don't know why I saw that. Okay, she's a great speaker and she's a great friend of mine. And maybe I just said that. And thank you, Anissa and Phyllis and all of you that have been writing the comments. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's been a wonderful day and it's been a wonderful time with Michelle and Trevor. Now, Trevor, I want to ask you something. How do you set goals for your relationship?
Ooh, for my relationship, romantic relationship. Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, it's not a personal question. It's not a personal question. I'm not talking about you per se, but I just wanted to talk about relationship, how people can set goals for their relationship and improve themselves in their relationship.
Okay.
Because
now we're all talking romantic relationships, right?
Your business will suffer.
So in terms of setting goals for a relationship, it's very similar to how we set goals for ourselves, right? And so often people are entering in relationships, whether that be romantic, friendship, business, whatever, and just being in the relationship, right? When you enter marriage, when you enter all these different things, there has to be a purpose, right? So anything there is a purpose for, that means that there is a goal forward in order to accomplish that purpose, right? So when there's a clear understanding of whatever the purpose is of that relationship, and so I would say that let that be step one in terms of how you set a goal for a relationship, is you need to establish the purpose of that relationship, right? You don't go into business with somebody if there isn't a clear understanding of, okay, we are going into business together to accomplish X project, and in order for X project to happen, you need to do this, I need to do this, and contractually we're here writing down our names that we both meet our ends, right? And so at that point, once there's a purpose set, now goals can be set. So once the purpose of the relationship has been determined and defined, at that point, now it's teamwork. It's teamwork. Okay, what are your greatest skills? What's my greatest skills? What are your weaknesses? What are my weaknesses? So there's a level of vulnerability that's necessary as well when it comes to relationships. Now, obviously, the level of vulnerability changes based on the type of relationship, right? There's different level of vulnerability in a romantic relationship than there is a business relationship, or there's a different level of vulnerability with, a work relationship than there is, let's just say, a gym relationship, right? Just someone you just know at the gym, whatever. Like, there's differences, but you have to understand just where that level of vulnerability is and basically match that level, because at the end of the day, like I said, success, there is no secret to this stuff. So if let's say, in order to be successful in a romantic relationship, it requires vulnerability at 100%, well, then you're not going to get away with only giving 60% vulnerability in your relationship and expect, some good results. So backing up, setting those goals, as I said before, it just starts with understanding the purpose of the relationship. And once you understand the purpose of the relationship, now you play on each other's strengths and also basically hiding on each other's weaknesses. I don't want to say hiding, but you cater more towards the strengths in order to accomplish that goal. And that's basically how you set goals in the first place, is establishing, okay, you're really good at this, I'm really good at that. How do these two coexist so that we can accomplish this purpose for which we're even in relationship for? And that's pretty much how you set goals.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Trevor. Thank you very much, Michelle, and for the wonderful insights that you have shared with us today. We have learned a lot, and we want to say thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay. So as we begin to wrap up the show, Michelle, what's the greatest lesson we can learn from horses?
How to be ourselves and not be afraid of who we are and present ourselves authentically in the real world. To be able to learn that there is such things as, acceptance and unconditional love and those sort of things. But I think to learn how to authentically show up in the world as yourself and not be afraid, but grab the bull by the horn, so to speak, or hop on your saddle and go for a ride.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Now, Trevor, as we wrap up, how can one craft his dream, that it not just end as a dream in your head, but it becomes a reality in physical?
So you do that, one, by creating a clear vision for yourself, having a clear vision of whatever that thing is, whatever your goal, whatever your dream is, having a full understanding of what it is, where it came from, why you want it, why it's important to you, the result of it, the whole nine. The second thing that you need to do in order to craft your dream lifestyle is to basically give 100% effort. It's not enough to just work hard. You have to work smart. And so you need to understand yourself. You have to understand how you work. You have to understand your work environment. You need to understand your skills, your abilities, all of that. Have a full understanding and truly do the work. That's very important. I don't want to overlook. You truly have to do the work. And then third is consistency. It's no good to do a thing one good time. You need to find an activity or find something that's going to push you forward and be able to do it consistently every single day. And that's involved in your solar system, which is basically what you're around and who you're around. And so when you have all three of those things working in tandem, that is how you craft your dream lifestyle.
Yep.
Let me ask you, Michelle, is there anything that the horses say to the youths? Is there any message from the horses to the youths? Yes.
Put your phone down and start living life and connect. I mean, do the work. I totally agree. Do the work. So many of them just want to, push a button and it's better. And even the adults that I work with are. And as I've said, I tried to cheat the system too, but I found out real fast, no, I found ways to make it more efficient, faster, more productive in a shorter time period, because we're doing something. But yeah, if you want to have XYZ life, you're going to have to put the work into it. Just because you graduate from high school or college or whatever and expect to have a CEO job, it doesn't work that way. You gotta put in the work, and you gotta be willing to do it. And yeah, life is tough, but you get out of it what you put into it. So if you don't put anything into it, it's like he was saying, 60% in a relationship and expect 100% results. Well, if anybody can figure that out, let me know. I'd like to have a discussion.
Right.
I mean, totally. But, I think I've found some ways to definitely help move the process along a lot faster and get results, because we're tired of being stuck in that, and make those goals and dreams a reality.
Wow, Michelle, that's so powerful. I tell you, this is prophetic. I know I know you guys will be surprised me saying this, but this is really prophetic. We're almost coming to the end of the program, and it's a new day, because it's past 12 midnight over here in Nigeria. So it's a new day. So my birthday is over, right? So I need to wrap up the show. But let me tell you, those closing words there or remarks there from Michelle, from both of you, they are so powerful. Michelle, you said, put down the phone. I think that's a prophecy, that's a book, that's a message, not just to Americans alone, but to Nigerians, to Africans, to the youths in Africa. Put down your phone. See, I was talking to a youth some days ago, not even up to 3 days, and I asked him, I said, what skill do you have? And he said to me, he said, I have no other skill apart from my handset, apart from my phone. And I said, wow, you have no other skill? He said, no. So I said, if somebody comes and says, I want to give you a job, I want you to do something, you're going to be paid. So what's going to happen?
Not going to get the job.
See, that word, put down the phone, it's a very strong word, and it's for somebody. And we are not just saying you just have to put down the phone. Because if we are saying, okay, put down the phone, it means that even this show wouldn't work because I'm doing it with a phone. But what we are saying is, get a skill, get a job, get something. Even if you are working with your phone, you also need to get a job. You can have 10 streams of income. It's not just only one stream of income, not just 2 streams of, you can get 10 streams of income. You can get 20 streams of income. Ask the very wealthy people in the world. They don't just do just one job. They do a lot of jobs. So get a skill, learn something, and be useful. Don't just go after the money alone. There's another thing she has said there. Don't just go after the money alone. Be ready to do the work. People today, youths today, want to make a lot of money. They just want to make money just by sitting down, just by pressing a button. But no, you need to work. You need to be ready to work hard. You need to be willing to work hard. It's not a curse to work hard. It's not a curse to labor. The Bible said something. It said, in all labor there is profit. So it's not a curse to labor. It's not a crime to labor. Let's labor. Let's do things. Let's make things happen. Let's not, it's not, this is a generation of microwave. They want everything to come so quick, to come so fast, to come so easy. And so when you see somebody, for example, who has done 3 shows today, and the 3 shows went well, you might say, oh, that guy has a golden something, but it's not true. Only God knows what I've been through. Even to make this show work, only God knows the sacrifice I made, the things I had to do. Only God knows. I can't start telling you about it. It's not everything that you see, it's not as easy as you see it. No. There's so much work that has gone behind the scenes. When you see people come on stage and things happen, so much work has gone behind the scenes. So you can't run away from the work. It's not a crime to work hard. That's a strong message from Michelle to the youths of Africa, to our youths in Zambia, to our youths in Ghana, to our youths in Kenya. There is dignity in labor. There is joy in labor. We should take pride in labor, profitable labor, smart labor. So I think on that note, we are coming to the end of the show today. This is great. I'm so happy because we are leaving a message for the youth in Africa. And I'm sure somebody will learn from this. Thank you so much, Michelle. Thank you,
Thank you,
Trevon, for
Yes, sir.
making out time from your busy schedule to come and speak to us. May God bless you. And for those of you that are watching and those that will watch the replay, thank you so much. And leave a comment for us. God bless you. I think
thank you.
we can wrap now. Yeah. Or do you anything to say before we go? Okay.